Young Pauli was fascinated by the Japanese language. He really wanted to learn it. He was watching YouTube videos on how to study languages, how to learn Japanese, what are the best resources, how to manage your Anki deck, how to set up your Anki. But he never actually started. Now on the other hand, we have Paulus. Paulus knows exactly what he's doing. If we separate it to the four major parts of language learning, he knows exactly what to do for each of those. He doesn't need a guide. He is the guide himself. So I remember when I started language learning, there was so much information in the beginning for me. I wanted to learn Japanese, as I mentioned previously with the little comparison. I have that from Hamza, by the way, if you want to check him out. As you've seen in the comparison, there is young me trying to figure out how to learn languages the best way. What is the best way to utilize the knowledge on YouTube to actually study a language? So I watched these how to study a language in 3 months and shit. If you click on one of those videos, how to learn a language in 3 months, congratulations, you got fucked. You literally got fucked by all of these YouTubers. They just want you to click on their videos. Why do you think that is? Because if you click on their video, what are they getting? They're getting a better click-through rate. A better click-through rate means the algorithm will recommend it to more people. The more people click on it, the more it is likely that people will watch it. The more people watch it, the more money they get from advertising. That's how they make money on YouTube. And if you think they are genuinely trying to help you learn a language, bro, like, I'm sorry, but you're fucking stupid in that case. Like, you really are. But that's why I made this channel. That's why I started all of this, because I don't see genuine advice on language YouTube anymore. If you remember Laoshe, one of the greatest polyglot channels on the internet, he unfortunately died, and that was very sad news for me. But that was a guy who was genuine about his language learning, about advice he gave. This was a guy who literally didn't try to bullshit you into thinking that he is fluent in those languages. He told you, look man, I studied this language for like 2 weeks, I'm not fluent, I can say a few words, that's it, boom. But the majority of these fucking baboons try to tell you that like, I'm fluent, how I learned a language in 7 days, it's fucking bullshit. It's complete fucking bullshit. And it gets me so fucking mad that people actually watch these types of videos. It's literally just entertainment. And you, if you're like me, if you took anything from that example before, me as a young Pauli, I was the same. I was just consuming. I was just like trying to find the best advice in these videos. But the truth is, there's no best advice. You cannot find the best advice. So what you need to do is literally just choose a language, do some research, watch a guide, download Anki, download an Anki deck, study vocab, watch media and content in your target language so that you practice listening and you know how the language sounds like. One thing that language YouTubers also tell you, from what I've seen, at least how I watch language YouTube, and that is that, sorry for that, that you don't need to practice speaking. And that's the biggest bullshit I've ever fucking heard. Especially Japanese, because the JLPT, the Japanese Language Proficiency Test, doesn't require you to speak at all. It doesn't require you to even write. But guess what? If you genuinely want to learn a language like me, I'm no casual language learner. When I study a language, I fucking study a language, and I want to know the language proficiently. Same with English. I'm aiming for C2 now. I was 1 point away from C2. I got my C1 a year ago, 2 years ago, when I was 16. And I was one of the youngest people to have it in the Czech Republic. So I take my language learning quite seriously. I'm not saying that to fucking flex, like obviously it gives me a little bit of an ego boost, but like, I'm not saying that to flex, I'm saying that so that you know that I take this seriously, and if you want to take it seriously, you should as well, if you're watching this. Because if you don't go learning a new language that you want to study after this video, then I'm sorry, but like, Why? You're gonna just get in that vicious cycle of just watching content. And you don't want that. We don't want that to happen to you. We want you to know that you don't need to watch that content. You can do it yourself. So to come back to what I actually wanted to say about these types of videos, it's that, yeah, it makes sense, right? Why would I practice speaking and writing when it comes to Japanese, especially if I'm preparing for the JLPT, which I am, by the way. And you tell yourself all that, and you're like, oh yeah, I don't need to do that, so I can put more time into the things that actually do matter. Well, and then you realize that if you cannot write, if you cannot speak, why the fuck are you learning the language in the first place? At least that is for me, right? I realized I want to learn the language so that I can be able to speak and to produce content in the language and to read and listen to content in the language. So listening is fine because it's on the Nihongo no Ryoshiken. Consuming in the language is also fine because there's a lot of reading in the Nihongo no Ryoshiken. You get the point. So those are eliminated. Those are like checked off. Those we can learn whilst preparing for the JLPT, like me. But then speaking, which I really wanted to do, I have quite a bit of online friends who are Japanese speakers or native Japanese speakers, and I'm unable to communicate with them. I'm like N3 level almost now. Just saying, by the way. I'm N3 level almost, and I'm unable to communicate. I have a vocabulary of around 3,000. I should be able to say something. Obviously not a fucking full-on fluent conversation, but I should be able to say something. Why am I unable to? Why? Because I just don't practice speaking. You see, in order for you to be able to speak, you need to speak. In order for you to be able to write, you need to write. If you don't do those things, if you don't practice them, you're fucked. That's why I started writing kanji. I never wrote kanji. And if I did it a very, very stupid way. And I started writing them in my own way, which I can do a video about if you're interested in that. If you're interested in the way I learned Japanese and shit like that. I also learned Spanish. We can do something in Spanish. But if you're interested in that, just write it down in the comments somewhere. But what I was really trying to say is that, like, in order to learn a skill, you need to practice it. And it doesn't matter if it's within one general skill, which is language. Because language itself, it has many other competencies that we have to fulfill as language learners. Like speaking, listening, writing, grammar, what fucking else? I don't know if I said listening already, I probably did, doesn't fucking matter. But there's a shit ton of competencies that we have. We have the major topic, which is the language that we have, right? So Japanese, for example, we have kanji, we have hiragana, katakana, we have reading, we have listening, we have pitch accent, we have all of that, right? All of that, and it makes this one big mishmash, which is the language. So in order to get good at all those competencies, we have to practice them separately. And once we practice each competency, that's how we can get better at the language that we actually want to get better at. And it takes time. It doesn't take fucking 3 months, let me tell you that. Like, yeah, you can learn a language probably in 3 months if you genuinely try and put it, like, all of your effort into it. But the reality is literally, like, nobody's gonna fucking learn a language for 3 months just because they tell themselves, like, oh yeah, I wanna learn Spanish and I'm gonna learn it 8 hours a day. Like, you're gonna get a burnout. You're 100% gonna burn out. I don't give a shit. Like, if you haven't studied a language before and you try to learn a new language in 3 months, you're fucked. You're gonna be unable to do it. Literally, you're gonna be unable to do it. And if you are gonna be able to do it, then, like, props to you, but you're probably gonna be shit. Because 3 months is not what it takes to learn a language fluently. What takes, what, for me at least, what I define as fluency is to be able to express anything you want in a language. It doesn't necessarily have to be on a high level, but you can express yourself no problem. And whatever you want to express, even abstract things. But in order to do that, it doesn't take 3 months, let me tell you that. Like, even my Spanish, people say that I'm fluent in Spanish around me, that I know from school, my friends. But the reality is, like, they have no fucking clue. Like, I'm like conversational. I can have a conversation with you. I can ask for everything I want. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm not fluent. I'm not able to express everything I want in the language yet. And I've been learning the language for 6 years, by the way. Yeah, 6 years, but the reality is I learned it at school, and 4 of those or 5 of those years were literally just me fucking around in class because I was a little kid. Last year I actually started doing something by myself in my free time. So I just wanted to put out that message out there that we don't need 1,000 guides to actually learn a language. We genuinely don't. And it's just completely pointless. Like, why the fuck would you watch all of that? It's a time that you can be spending learning the language. Watch one, do some research about the language, choose choose a language, do some research, watch a guide, download an Anki deck for vocab, listen to the language, speak in the language if you want to get better at speaking, write in the language if you want to get better at writing. All of that, it's just logic. Whatever you feel like you need to get better at, do that and practice that. And that's all for the video. Thanks for watching, and if you want to see more of this no bullshit way to operate on YouTube and overall in the self-improvement language and all of that type of sphere, just be sure to sub. If you like it, leave a like. If you don't, leave a dislike. Let me know. It's feedback for me, and I appreciate all of it. So that's that. Thanks for watching, and have a good one, bro.